Hello, my name is Preston,
And I'm Ethan.
and today we did our grandma Linda Selken. We learned a lot of interesting things we never knew about her life. She had many highs and lows throughout her life. This is her story. Early years. She was born October 13th, 1953. Her parents are Alyssa and Paul Luce. She was the oldest out of her brother and sisters. Her brother's name is Jim, and her sisters' names are Julie and Jean. Her father was an electrician, and her mother was a homemaker. The most memorable time she had with her family was being together.
She started school when she was 4 years old. She attended Laverne Elementary and High School. Her favorite subject was math. She walked every day to get to school. One of her activities she was in was choir. She really enjoyed singing with the choir. Some of her favorite school memories are all the choir concerts. Her least favorite memory was about the feeling that she didn't belong, and she was very shy. She remembered that candy bars back in the day were 10 cents. They went to movies for free, and gasoline only cost 29 cents per gallon.
Growing up. When Linda was growing up, her parents bought her a parrot named Chippy. Chippy and Lana were best friends. She would play with him after school, and she would throw a little ball and he would carry it back to her with his tiny feet. Later, her parents bought her a yellow cat which she named Meowie. Meowie and Chippy didn't get along very well. The cat would always try to catch Chippy when he was flying, and Chippy would sometimes peck at Meowie's tail, but at the end of the day they always got along.
She was 10. She went to see her grandparents in New Jersey. She went to the World Fair, New York, rode subways, went to Radio City Music Hall, saw Broadway, and visited all her family on her mother's side. The best trip Linda could remember when she was a kid is when she took a trip to Disneyland.
House. Her parents built a house on the north end of Laverne when she was 7 or 8 years old. It was the only house in that new addition at the time. They had a pasture around them, which some of the times Linda would take a large blanket and throw it over the clovers on the field, stomp it down, and make a fort out of it. They had to make their own fun because they didn't expect everything to be given to them, and when they were told no, they didn't argue.
She worked at A&W as a car hop when she was in high school for 2 years. She also worked at Bott Drug Store after she graduated. After she got married, she worked at K Products where she sewed hats for 17 years. Then she had carpal tunnel surgery on both of her hands.
Graduation. Linda went to Augustana College. Linda feels that her greatest accomplishment was going to college in her late 30s, while still being a mother and wife. She didn't miss any of her children's activities, and she still managed to be on the dean's list. At a friend's wedding, Linda was a bridesmaid, and her husband Mike was a groomsman. That's where they met.
Married on November 2, 1973. Her wedding dress was teal and white. They didn't take a honeymoon, however. After Linda was married, she had 3 children and lived in Rock Rapids. One important thing she learned about marriage is it's not easy. An important lesson she tried to pass on to her children were to be respectful. Her grandchildren reminded her of her own children because they acted just like their parents. She lived in a small apartment at first, then rented a small house, then later purchased a very small house. Then they moved to the house they live in today. They have lived there for 36 years.
Her aunt was a church minister when she was young. She usually spent Saturday afternoons with her at the church as she practiced. She memorized the harmonies and sang as her aunt practiced. Sometimes she even had her own sermons. The church had beautiful stained glass that when the sun shined through it, it was so beautiful. Through the years, Lana has sang in the church choir, taught Sunday school, and had been lay leader and did a complete church service by herself.
September 11, 2001 was a scary time because Eric, her son, was in the Marines and many were sent overseas. He was sent to Vietnam and it was a very unsettled time and dangerous. She also had some cousins in Vietnam as well. There were 2 days that were the worst days of her life. Her first day was when her father died of a heart attack at age 63, and the second was when her mother was dying of cancer.
The song "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot" always brings her to tears when she hears it because it's the song her father sang often. It makes her cry because of the sweet memory of hearing her father sing it in the middle of a lake.